2019 is just a day away from ending, and I have to say it's been one of the most rewarding years for myself. Just to be able to hear countless success stories from all of you, whether you are following me on YouTube, you just get my emails and respond to me, or you're a Sync Academy member or a Sync Edge member or even a Syndicate member, of course. Anytime you guys reach out and let me know about some awesome accomplishments that you've achieved in your careers, that's been the most rewarding part of everything that I do here in Sync My Music, in my company here. Because the reason why I started this was to give producers and composers out there who are struggling, who don't know where to go with their music, who really are extremely talented, extremely hardworking, just give them a clear path that works. I think that is the biggest missing piece for pretty much all musicians and bands out there. Tons of talent, tons of passion and dedication. You don't have to teach anybody that kind of stuff. If you either got it or you don't, right? But I think most producers, especially those of us that have our home studio setups and really just are in love with the craft of making music, at least for myself, when I stumbled into this industry, basically kind of by luck and by accident when I was 23 years old, I look back on that and I'm extremely lucky and fortunate and thankful and grateful that I had this path as an option for me. And I think one of the biggest things that drove me to start Sync My Music and everything that I do is to just put a big beacon of light out there and just try to post it everywhere I possibly can do it, and just to let other people know that there is a path that can actually land you full-time income. And it can start out as part-time income. You can just keep it as part-time. But if you really want to do music full-time, you don't want to have a day job, you don't want to have any other boss or gig that you have to go work for, this is an absolutely proven and realistic way to do it. And it's a very lucrative opportunity. It's going to take work. As you guys know, it's not a sort of you get your results instantly. But I'm going to show you, though, today in today's video, I want to show you guys and show off many of our Sync Academy members, because this is a question I posed just a few days ago, asking them to really list some of their biggest accomplishments when it came to their sync licensing career just for 2019. And as I just scrolled through these, like my jaw hit the floor. I was just completely blown away by how much people were really getting done in their licensing careers, and how many of them realized that a year is a long time to get a lot of stuff done, actually. I think a lot of people think that when I always talk about, well, it can take years for your income to build up and years for this to turn into your full-time income, people think sometimes that it takes years to just get into the industry. But most of these comments, as you'll see, these are people who found out, stumbled across one of my videos, learned about sync licensing, and within weeks or months was partnered with a music library. So getting into the industry is a fairly quick process, actually. That can be a couple of months, maybe even a couple of days if you already have some highly licensable music. But of course, it's that second part, which is the really tough part, where a lot of producers struggle in, how do you work at something for a couple of years while you're not seeing the income yet? How do you sort of keep the faith, keep cranking away, keep plugging it away? Well, that is what I created Sync Academy for. Is there are a whole mix of different kinds of producers and musicians here in this platform. Those of us that are doing this full time, there are actually a few of us that are doing this full time that are members, but obviously most of you are in those beginning phases. Some of you are brand new to producing music in general, so you're just kind of learning about the software and the DAW stuff, which is good. Like you got to start where you need to start, right? And then those of you that have been producing for years, though, are just now learning how to retailer and refocus your efforts towards this specific area. But really what the point of this video is I just want to give those of you that shared and commented on this some shine and some praise and just some attention and a little bit of a spotlight on you, because we don't get any of that as sync licensing producers. We don't even really get credits on screen for most of the TV shows that we get a film, we get placed. So I, in my little way, want to at least give some of you a little bit of a thumbs up, a little pat on the back. And for those of you that are not in Sync Academy, I need you to see, and I want you to see, the kind of productivity that we do here in Sync Academy. This is no joke. This is no sort of like, just we get together and have a good time. We are about working hard. We're about getting results. We're about getting contracts with libraries, getting placements, and sharing in each other's successes and basically giving each other praises when we do really well. So I really want to go through these stories that you guys have shared here in Sync Academy and give you a little bit of praise. So let's go ahead and get through them. First up, Nigel. Biggest one for me is simply getting started. So looking forward to ramping up in 2020. Thanks for your help and guidance. And yeah, this was one of the big ones that I noticed from a lot of you guys in Sync Academy, that actually 2019 was the year that you just discovered sync licensing. And it probably was because you stumbled across one of my videos, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And that is nothing small. I think, I don't think you guys do think of that as small, but I want you to always keep in mind that still, even though I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, I have not even touched the surface of how many producers and musicians could benefit from learning about this. There is still a vast majority of producers and musicians out there who don't even know that Sync Academy exists, that sync licensing exists. Like, they don't even know that this is something that they could be doing, and they're still out there struggling and swinging for the fences and hoping that they're just going to knock one out of the park and get some viral hit and get signed and go on tour, and everybody's just going to lavish them with the riches and fame that they've been working so hard at. So the fact that if 2019 was the year that you just discovered that it's going to take a different approach, and you can't have the lotto ticket idea for your music career, and you're going to have to actually build something and go service a specific niche of the industry, you're miles and miles ahead of the competition. Even if you are in the beginning stages, don't have a contract yet, don't even have your first track done yet, you're still miles of where most people are. And so I'm doing my best to try to bring them on board and let them know about this as an option. It's, of course, not for all producers, but just to let people know this is obviously something they can do. All right, Ralph. I've taken a lot of your wonderful courses, and I'm preparing to submit my first album to music libraries in the new year. Awesome. So you're obviously getting started, Ralph. Starting the new decade very strong to submit. So that's great. Steve, joining this community. And I think this is, again, one of those things where you might think, oh, is this really a big deal? The fact that you are plugged in with us, Steve, and you now know what's happening in this industry, how to really succeed, all those little tips and tricks. You can't just Google, you can't just look this stuff up. There's really no vast library of content out there other than Sync Academy for really how to get into these little, how to get in and succeed in this little niche of the industry. Again, you're in a really, really strong position for 2020 moving forward. So, all right, Josian, for me, it's making the decision to get started here in Sync Academy. This place has helped me find focus and learn about the elusive potential my music talent has had all this time, and helped me find gainful purpose for it. Yeah, I would agree that sync licensing is also, for myself, given me a lot of purpose. It's actually given me a place where people not only say, you have great music, I love it, but they're handing me checks, they're handing me contracts, I'm getting royalties from it. So that really is a good thing. I feel very valuable and valued in this industry. I have yet a long way to go. Yeah, but we all do. It's okay. I literally consider myself in a fetus stage right now. But every time I see any Sync My Music videos on YouTube or any comment or courses here, I get excited, remind myself that this is possible. Awesome, man. And that's what I want to make sure you guys keep in mind. I don't want to just, I understand that. I'm glad that you get excited about the stuff that you see here, but I want to make sure that it's also about you taking action. So I don't want to be one of those motivational speakers where you just get addicted to watching the videos, but you don't actually do anything. So that's why I always try to push you guys from time to time to always say, it's not just about getting inspired. It's not just about being excited, but it is about you taking the knowledge and the wisdom and all this, the tips and the tricks and the strategies that you learn in Sync Academy, putting it to work in your music. That's the only way to do it. And I know you understand that, but I just want to make sure you guys are very clear on that. All right, Jam and Jay. I took 3 different classes on sync licensing this year, and I learned how to accomplish what it takes to get a sync. Jesse, your class is a class act. Well, thank you, Jammin. In 2020, would be to accomplish the ultimate sync using what I've learned in 2019. Awesome. You're welcome for the knowledge, man. So that's great. So you're certainly moving forward, and it sounds like you have a very clear plan of what to do moving forward to the new year. Mark, I've had a few firsts this year. First cue used in a scripted drama and not just a reality show, which meant for the first time I got paid an upfront sync fee. Congrats, Mark. That's awesome, which was a nice bonus. Added some new shows to my placement roster and some new countries as well. Wow, you're growing. That's great. I also had music used on the show on Snapchat for the first time, which I didn't even know was a thing. Yes, this is the other thing. There are new places to get your music distributed through, and there are new income streams that we're going to be doing moving forward. And of course, we keep you guys up to date on all those things, including a new tutorial that's going to be coming on board in January, all about micro licensing. So this is a lot of these kind of opportunities where they're mostly online focused. So we're going to talk about all the deals, the ins and outs, and sort of how to navigate those situations when they come your way. So you'll certainly be informed here with our tutorials in Sync Academy. So check this out. 2016, you had 87 Qs, one deal, and you had nothing earned. Okay. 2017, you had 70 Qs produced on top of the 87. Okay. Two library deals, and you made €50. Okay. 2018, you had 88 Qs, so you went up. You went down a little bit 2017, but 18 you went back up. Two library deals and 120. Okay. And 2019, 50 Qs produced, two library deals, and now you're at 720. So again, €720, people are like, oh, you can't live on that. Okay, I understand this is a long process, but look at the growth happening here with Mark's royalties, okay? This is the exponential growth that you can start to see when you're one of the few that stick with it. It can take time. Now, I don't know exactly what Mark was doing in 2016 or 17 or 18, but whatever he's doing now is obviously working, and he's obviously getting some more income coming in his way. So he's certainly on the right path moving forward. So congrats, Mark. You're obviously doing what you need to be doing. You're working hard. You're building, right? I can see you're building here, and you're putting in the work you need to really turn this into your full-time income. So keep it up, man. Keep up that great work. All right, Bridget. First of all, I discovered that there's such a thing as sync licensing career. Yes. And thanks to Jesse, I learned a lot about this business. The biggest accomplishments for me was my decision to pursue this and concentrate on the trailer genre. And I understood the consistency advice so much that I changed my day job to make room for my new journey. Good for you. You took action. That's what you should be doing. So basically, my biggest accomplishment was the discovery of this business and setting up the foundations, including the setup of my large trailer template for taking action next year. I'm so thankful to be a part of a group like Sync Academy. Luckily, I found it through an ad campaign in a music magazine, which I only bought because of that one page that resonated so much. So awesome. I do remember I did that. I didn't know that you found out about me through that one magazine that I did put an ad in. I think it was last year or the year before. I did it once. And I'm glad that you found me through that because I really honestly got very little action with that ad. So I haven't done that since then. But I'm really glad to hear that actually at least resonated with you and you discovered me through that one ad. So that's really, really cool, Bridget. And yes, and I think this is one of those things that if you guys are going to really succeed for the long haul, and I think, Bridget, you understand this is going to be your multi-decade plan. So you understood rather than just jumping into it without all the pieces ready to go and without your schedule ready and without your production approach ready, you took the time to lay your foundations right, which is what a professional does, right? If you want to go be a great basketball player, you just immediately go into alley-ooping and slam dunking and all that kind of stuff. No, you go to bounce passes, dribbling, doing your lines, doing your lanes, getting your conditioning in order, right? You go down to the basics of your skill set, and then you work your way up into the bigger stuff. So obviously, Bridget, you are laying a very solid foundation for your career moving forward. Definitely some great things coming your way. I can see it. All right, Frank, joined Sync Academy and Sync Edge July 1st. To date, have 41 songs done and ready to submit to libraries in January 2020. All right, you've been working. Awesome, Frank. Updated my website for Sync licensing career, watched and learned from 80% of the Sync Academy videos. The other 20% didn't pertain to me. Gained some great insight and knowledge from my contacts with Jesse and all the other professionals attached to Sync Academy, and I've learned from other members' experiences and questions. This is a big part of what Sync Academy is. Like I said, you can't always just Google search all the ins and outs of how to really do well in this industry, especially as it's constantly changing, constantly updating. So, Frank, I know that you post questions and people come and give you their answers, and other members also have their questions, and we all share our experiences and what we're seeing in this industry. And by doing that and doing it all here collectively on this platform, we're all staying more informed, more up to date, and more prepared to, navigate basically all the changes that are going to be coming down the pipeline. So it's a really popular and powerful part of joining this community. I'm confident that I've done all that I can for a successful sync license career starting in the new year. With all that and God's help, I will succeed. Absolutely, man. You're setting it up. You're doing everything that you should be doing. You've gotten educated, and now you're ready to go. And you obviously have an army and an arsenal of hopefully high quality licensable tracks, and you just got to go find those right libraries to submit them to. So you're on your way, man. John. Okay, John was my member that I actually brought on board. He was the one that was, I think, 63, just learned a DAW for the first time in his life when he was 62 years old, and secured a library deal, okay, and created, and now he's regularly submitting new albums to this library over and over again. So he was a shining example of, if you think, maybe this is just more for younger people, I think I'm too old, you're wrong. That's another excuse you don't have to buy into. You can if you want to, but John didn't. He just decided, hey, I can learn about this, and I think that was what he said, is as long as he had the right equipment, which he invested in, as long as he had the knowledge that I have, and that's what I'm sharing with you guys through Sync Academy and all my videos, he knew that he could do it as well. And he had that can-do attitude and that just determination to go through it, and he succeeded. So it's kind of crazy to see, and I love to hear these kind of stories because it even blows my mind to think, man, I don't meet people in your age too often, John, that have that ability to just, even though there's probably a lot of that doubt in your mind, to just push that away and just go like, to hell with it. I'm going forward with it. So I just love people like that. I love that mentality. I want to surround myself with those kind of people. And that's what we have here in this community. John says, I learned how to write licensable tracks and had my first 2 albums accepted, as I just talked about. Wow, what a difference 1 year can make. So yeah, John went from not even producing tracks, not knowing how to producing tracks, to completely having an in with a very reputable library with 2 albums already in the system, potentially getting him some placements. So John, great start, man. Big things coming your way for sure. All right, next up, Miguel. Jesse, 2019 has been life-changing, brother. Awesome, man. I've become a better producer practically by using folders and templates, good, and by consistently questioning myself during the mix, what purpose does this serve? Very good question to ask. I have cut out of a lot of unnecessary things, whether VSTs, plugins, or automation. That's a really good thing, man. Getting rid of the clutter and the noise. A lot of producers, I definitely had that problem starting out, so that's good you're aware of that. I've been using and trusting my ears more. I don't just EQ and compress everything because that's what you're supposed to do. Very good. You're kind of getting the strategies and the sort of mindset for how to really approach mixing in a smart way, not just in the sort of, oh, okay, I'll just use these presets. I think you've got that down. I learned and am continuing to learn here more the genre of a trailer and orchestral hybrid music, which I have fallen in love with producing. I've gotten accepted into a music library, awesome, and I'm working with an independent producer to supply music to them directly. Good, that's what you should be doing. But what I'm most proud of now, knowing that this is what I want to do in my life. I used to worry about all the negatives of the music industry, but being in this position where I can make all the music I want from home and monetize it has given me the vision for who I want to be in my professional career. Thank you, Jesse, very much for the knowledge you've given me. Thank you for this platform. Because of it, I have grown exponentially as a producer. That's so cool, man. Thank you to Mike Giannotto. He's another one of our Sync Academy pros for giving me valuable insights into the music licensing and trailer world. Thanks to Trevor Llewellyn. He's another Sync Academy pro. I've learned a lot from your videos detailing your experiences in the licensing industry, and to Edmund Red for your course on orchestral music. And just so you guys know, I'm getting Edmund Red to come back and do another series. He's doing a second series for orchestral music. We're going to do a couple new tutorials with him, and maybe even more moving forward into 2020. I know a lot of you guys loved his tutorials, so I'm definitely bringing him back for us. Those videos gave me my start in this genre. Awesome. And thanks to all of you Sync Academy members. Thanks for feedback you ever shared, posts you ever cheered, and comment you ever given. I appreciate the hard work you guys put in. I'll listen to a few of your tracks as it inspires me to get to work. Looking forward to 2020, baby. Let's get it. Absolutely, man. And yeah, I think that feedback corner has been one of the most valuable places, the most valuable assets that most of you have had access to here in Sync Academy. So make sure you guys do take advantage of it and get feedback. Give feedback and get feedback within that group here in Sync Academy. So that's great, man. David, my biggest accomplishment in 2019 was to have one of my songs placed on a TV series in Australia on CBS, for which I got a good sync fee, but most importantly, my first royalties ever. Awesome, man. So thank you, Jesse. I've learned much this year thanks to you. That's great, dude. You're on your way getting those royalties. I remember my first royalty check. Mine wasn't that great, but at least it was a royalty check, and the feeling that like I'm in it, like I'm a player in this business and I'm actually earning income from my music. It's a magical feeling. So I envy you. I'd love to go back to that feeling to know what that feels like again. So that's really cool, man. All right, Travis. All thanks to another syndicate member, I got to collaborate on 4 tracks that were accepted by a TV show and was added to a library's email list for custom cues. I wrote 2 podcast themes and a song for a play. I made my website. In early 2019, my track won a prize in Jesse's Sync Academy Awards. That's the awards that I did last year. And later in the year, I got interviewed on his YouTube channel. So yes, we had a great chat. I look forward to continuing to improve, sometimes very incrementally. That's what we all do, though. So you're not alone in that. Over the next year, and to hearing the progress of my fellow producers and their successes. Very grateful for this community. So yeah, Travis, you definitely have all the work ethic, all the ability to do this. And I know, and I've heard and seen you progress over 2019 from where you were in the beginning to where you are now. And so I've definitely seen personally how much you've grown and what you've done with your music over that time. And you are not an easily schedulable person. You have a full family, you got a full job. And so Travis is another one of these students that, he could have taken all these excuses for why he didn't put in the work, but he obviously just said, the hell with those excuses. Let's make this work. I'll wake up early. I'll cut some of my socializing out. I'll cut out maybe some of the other obligations that, I valued before, but you have to make choices. Is this more valuable to me? Then I'm going to have to sort of cut some other things out. And so you made those choices and you're obviously seeing the results of it, man. So that's really great. Andrew, going through the tutorials and adjusting my tracks accordingly. It's been a great learning experience and looking forward to acquiring more knowledge from the tutorials in the coming weeks during Christmas holidays. Thank you, Jesse, for having Sync Academy out there. It's changed a lot about me as a drummer, musician, composer, producer, and how I hear with my ears. So that's great, man. That's awesome to hear, Andrew. Mike, learned so much more about produced and signed 3 albums to a library. Awesome, man. Big congrats to you. And a few songs to a second library, all thanks to this platform. So you're on your way. You're doing the A-B comparison now. You can actually see between these 2 libraries who's going to be producing and doing well for you. So on your way, man. Very good stuff. Mark, getting started a couple months ago, produced a full album, building a website, and hopefully this will have my first contract signed shortly. Couldn't have done any of it without this platform. So building your blocks, Mark, you put your blocks down, you got that professional looking website, you got your album done, and I think you said you're going to, I don't know if you've already pitched or maybe you're about to pitch to your libraries, but as long as you have those specific tailored pitches with high quality content, some great things should be coming your way, Mark. So I wish you the best with that. Michael, or is it Mickle? I don't know if it's Mickle or Michael. I joined Taxi and went to the road rally, which was inspiring, and I was blown away by the level of production by my peers. I joined you and your teaching and have high expectations for getting my music placed. Yeah, the days of production music, I think if you go back maybe 15, 20 years, it was very laughable. It was that kind of karaoke, not so great music. But in the last 10 years, it is like you're going to hear some of the best music you've ever heard produced in our side of the industry. I know that, some composers, film composers might look down, kind of, snob their nose a little bit at our side of the industry because we're seen as like stock music, pre-programmed or pre-made music. But it is high quality stuff these days, and the level is obviously increased throughout the year. So I'm glad that you are aware of that and that you now need to know where you are and how to get yourself up to that level. So I really hope you use the tutorials and can find these tutorials useful for you to really get to that level, to really be competitive. All right, David, I learned a lot this year from this community and the mentors about the licensing field, and have nearly 100 tracks done this year that are spread amongst 3 music libraries. So great, man. Hope for more than this year. Next year, I would definitely say 3 libraries would probably be where I would cut it off at. I don't think I would say go further than that. I think between 3 libraries, you should be able to stay fairly busy supplying them, right? So I would say maybe that would be where you cut it off and just keep supplying those 3 libraries. Now you can ABC compare which ones are actually supplying you with the most royalties, the most upfront sync fees, the most opportunities, and really who's kind of keeping you more in their inner circle, so you can really decide who you want to more focus on as 2020 goes on. So good work, David. Dan, to be productive, effective, and ultimately successful in a new genre I'm working in, I must say I'm getting a lot of help from you and Sync Academy to help me stay focused on that goal. So that's great, man. Keep on the path. You're doing what you should be doing. I'm happy about this is from Varsha. I'm happy about my progress in my production abilities and my first exclusive library acceptance and my first exclusive library TV show placement. So you got the acceptance and the placements. Awesome. Thank you, Jesse, and all my fellow musicians. So great work. That's always a great one to get that first one in the bag. All right, Dimitri, 2019 was a year of starting my career in the sync licensing business. So this year I produced 5 full albums and started working with 3 music libraries. Almost a year has passed since I started making my catalog with music libraries. So because of it, I still don't see any of my royalties since not enough time has passed by to see them. But for the first year, I understood how valuable it is to make good, healthy relationships with the publishers. Yes, Dimitri, you're in that phase now where a lot of producers give up. This is one of the trickiest parts. Learning about it, getting excited about it, putting together your first couple of albums. That's, believe it or not, probably the easy part. The hardest part is to, stick with this long enough to start seeing those royalties come through. Because as you know, it's that 9 to 12 month window before you actually see them coming through. So, this is you're basically being tested right now. This is your challenge. This is your window to really push past most producers who don't make it through the first couple of years of this industry. So I hope you stay motivated and excited and focused here in Sync Academy with us. All right, Joe. No big accomplishments yet, but simply making time and a schedule for production and watching tutorials was a hurdle I have overcome. Okay, so that is a big accomplishment. So don't discount that. You are, just like we had on some of the other members who shared what they've gotten done. If you're not ready to put your foot forward yet, you do have to do some of this sort of basic building that you have to do. You have to get down to these core building blocks of your career, which means you got to get your schedule to work. You got to make sure that you can schedule enough time week to week to be consistently producing music. And obviously learning about how to produce and how to basically save a lot of time in your studio is a way to do that. So the fact that you've gotten over that, again, puts you ahead of 90% of all producers out there. Most producers only make music when they're feeling like it. They don't forward plan. They don't think about, I need to schedule out my time. I need to, be a little bit smarter about how I'm producing music and have a goal, set it up. So I'm going to get this, let's say, album done in a month or two. Most producers are not even aware of these kind of basic skills. So yeah, it is a very big accomplishment. I know it doesn't feel like it because there's no contract, there's no money, there's no royalties coming in, but you don't get to those nice, you don't get to the fruit of that until you sort of lay your seeds down in the dirt, in the ground. And that's what you're doing right now with this, okay? I have tons of music, but as a working live musician and rock composer, I'm having a blast moving into new genres and production styles. I have started production on hip hop, orchestral, and hybrid rock EDM albums. This course has been very helpful for me. So the one thing I would say, Joe, is you might want to whittle those down to maybe one or two of them. I think you're kind of spreading yourself out in many different areas. You're going from hip hop to orchestral to rock and EDM. That's 4 different genres, really. I would just focus, if you're going to do rock EDM, I would stay on that. That would be sort of your hybrid of the two. Or if hip hop is your thing right now, or whatever you feel like you can bring the best value to, I would say dive down and focus on one particular genre. Don't try to be a great producer in 4 different genres. You're spreading yourself, I think, just too thin. You really want to get great at one sound and deliver that for your library partners, okay? Just my 2 cents for you. All right, Mike. Joining this community and immersing in a wealth of knowledge, major gratitude for your passion here, Jesse. Chipping away at learning my DAW, meeting so many great producers and getting an interview in Time Magazine was nice also. Awesome, Mike. I actually didn't know you got that. Absolutely fired up for 2020 and a clear path to continue to open doors and new relationships, forward fighting the old ones. Cheers to all. Awesome, Mike. I love the attitude, man. Nikki McSorley. Since joining mid-September, I have completed a full album. That's great. Then was offered and accepted an exclusive licensing agreement with a music library for that album. I remember you telling me about that, Nikki. That's awesome. Thank you so much for what you do, Jesse. Your program is amazing, and so are all the wonderful producers I've met here on this forum. I feel blessed in 2019, and my music has a purpose now. Again, this is the theme that I definitely hear from a lot of you guys, and I think it's so cool. I think it's one of the biggest gifts that sync licensing gives us as producers, is to give us a plan and a purpose for our music. So I have seen the passion and the dedication, Nikki, that you have, and the work ethic that you obviously shown, and you're certainly on a path to do some great things in this industry. So I wish you all the best of luck moving forward. Samuel, thanks to your guidance, Jesse, I signed with my first library mid-year and I have nearly 50 songs signed to them. That is no small feat, Samuel. That's great. My 2020 goal is to get signed to another library and continue pumping out licensable tunes to start making some money from my music. So awesome. You're on your way. And again, you are also in that real challenging time where you got your foot in the door, you got a relationship built, but now you need to stick with it. You got to keep building. You got to keep asking your library what you can do for them. This is your challenge. This is your trying time to see, and your test really, to see if you can push forward to get to that other side where the royalties and the income starts to really come in. So I wish you the best for that, Samuel. Hopefully you can stay encouraged and motivated here in Sync Academy with us. All right, next up, Robert. As a budding producer, my biggest accomplishment has been making the commitment to pursue a career in sync licensing and believing that I have what it takes to succeed, which is definitely an accomplishment, and I am my own toughest critic. Good. It's good to be your own toughest critic, as long as you're not becoming a perfectionist. I would say that's where you probably want to, don't let perfect become the enemy of the good. You want to make sure that you do get stuff done, of course. The tools you've provided has been incredible and valuable to my growth, and not only by enhancing my skills technically, but also by elevating my self-confidence as a music maker in general. Wow, man, that's big. That's a really big thing. And I know that a lot of times I also felt that way because as a music producer, before I got into sync licensing, you're just kind of, I had a band, you're putting stuff out, you hope people like it, you hope you get a fan base, you hope you get a deal. But you do have the insecurity of like, do people even like this? Do people think this sucks? There's a lot of insecurity that comes on that side of the industry. But once you get accepted by a library and they say, we love your music, we can actually get it placed, we can make money with your music. There's definitely a sense of confidence that comes from this side of the business that I actually haven't seen from any other side of the music industry. So I think that's also for me one of the things that kept me here as long as it did. And not to mention that, I'm getting paid to make music, of course, duh. But I think just being valued and being acknowledged for the efforts that you do put into your craft, I think that's such an important part of this business. All right, next up, Hans. Dear Jesse, as this year comes to a close, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the good work and passion you brought to Sync Academy. Following your lead and guidance gave me a new lease on my career as a professional musician, and encountering sync licensing, paired with the necessary steps to succeed, has been a true blessing. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. When I came off the road as a touring recording artist, I experienced several years of deep depression, a disillusion about the industry, and the lowest point for my creativity ever. After following your program for only 6 months, I finished a full 12-song album, including alt mixes, and I'm almost done with the second one. I also created my licensing website and started to submit music with a rediscovered passion. All of this would certainly not have been happen without your program. For this, I am truly grateful. Well, thank you so much, Hans. That is really extremely touching to know that you found sync licensing to be this thing that pulled you out of the gutter. Because I know for myself, licensing has sometimes put me in the gutter, really depressed me, and other times it has also pulled me out. So I'm just glad that wherever you were in your career before you got involved with this, I'm glad that this gave you a new lease on it, a new perspective on it, and just a new hope for a new pathway you could really move forward with your music. Because I know you're not alone, because we all, as creative people, as producers, we all deal with depression, and certainly as the industry has taken a lot of hits over the last 10, 20 years, there's a lot of pessimism out there. There's a lot of hopelessness out there. A lot of people feel like there's just nothing for them to do with their music. And that's what really starts to drive more at their depression, that they're one thing that they are passionate about, that they love, they feel like they're meant to do. Nobody values it. Nobody wants to pay them for it. Nobody really cares that they're even doing it. So the fact that you found this and you're feeling that encouragement and that value from what you're doing, that really means a lot to me. And I'm really glad that you found it, man. That's really great. All right, Otis. My main accomplishment was becoming a member of the Sync Academy. I've known about it for at least a couple of years and finally made the move to join. I'm happy about my decision because now I feel great about 2020 and beyond. I'm setting myself up for a very lucrative and promising career. So awesome, Otis. I'm glad that you're just participating, joining us, and being aware of what you should be doing moving forward into the new year and into the new decade. All right, Nadej, I think it's Nadej. My main accomplishment is finally having some placements in Germany and the Netherlands. Out of 21 tracks, 3 were used 22 times. Wow, great. That's awesome. Biggest accomplishment compared to 2018 when I had no placements. Yep, and guess what? I also started with just a couple of placements. You got getting 22 placements out of with 3 tracks, much better actually than I got. I got one tiny little placement with 1 track. That was my first royalty that I got. So you're obviously off to a much stronger start than I was. So you're doing something right, and somebody has fallen in love with you if they're using your music 22 times. So that's great. Xavier, my main accomplishment is joining Sync Academy, which helped me have several of my tracks in a few libraries' catalogs. I know I got a lot of work to get my first placement. Fingers crossed for 2020. Even better than fingers crossed, Xavier, I'd say you're going to work, right? If you want to just double down and crank out music and really just focus on the craft of what you're doing here to serve the needs of the library that you've gotten accepted by, or a few libraries actually, you don't have to have luck. You don't have to cross your fingers. You don't have to have any of that sort of wishful thinking. You can actually just work at building your relationships with the libraries that you partner with. And as long as you have that mindset, you're going to stay ahead from of all the competition, because most people are doing that. They're just kind of hoping and wishing some track gets placed. But rather than doing that, get back into your studio and just crank out the next awesome high quality album to supply to your library partners. All right. All right, Rob. Finding Jesse's videos and realizing there is much more to sync licensing than just great sounding tracks. Becoming a member of the Sync Academy and learning how to make licensable music. Yes, there is a lot more than just creating great sounding tracks. Of course, you need to create great sounding tracks, but there are so many other parts and tidbits of information that you really need to be aware of to make sure that you are standing apart from the competition. Because yeah, I think if you had started in 2008, like when I did, you know, there's a lot less attention in this side of the business. There were a lot fewer producers that even were submitting to these libraries, but obviously now a lot more are doing it. So this is how you're going to make sure that you stay ahead of the curve to have all these sort of smaller, very important, but relatively unknown aspects of sync licensing sort of in your back pocket, and that you're aware of it moving into it, okay? All right, Daryl, I did one of the Sync 60 challenges shortly after joining. That alone kept me focused, and I found out my weaknesses in the first week of the challenge. That's great, man. It's good to be self-aware. Now, got all my music files organized and learned the ins and outs of my DAW. With everything I've learned here, I've got 10 tracks total accepted into a non-exclusive library. Hey, man, you got your foot in the door. For me, this is huge. In the past, I couldn't have gotten anything accepted anywhere. I'm now working on my next 10 to submit to an exclusive with 6 of those complete. Halfway there, and I agree. I think you should start thinking about this exclusive library. So it sounds like you've been paying attention to my videos, Daryl. So you know what you're doing. So glad I found you on YouTube, Jesse. You the man. All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, next up, Michael. I took a chance and submitted to my first ever library opportunity for a movie trailer and was accepted. Congrats, Mike. That's great. This has been a great boost to my motivation. I never would have attempted it without being a part of Sync Academy and getting inspiration from all the great content here. Great, man. Love to hear that. Andrew, I'm really at the very beginning of my journey as I write this, and I'm literally just been taking my first look at Logic on my new MacBook Pro. Again, Andrew, you're not alone. We have many members that are just getting into producing and using DAWs. As I told you before with John's story, who was 62 years old, just getting his DAW. So you're certainly not alone. From your picture, you look a little bit younger than 62, so it looks like you have you've got a lot of promise, and obviously you're not too late to the game. So don't ever feel bad about that. Don't ever, and we never do that here in Sync Academy, because I was there at one point. I was learning, Logic Pro 7 or 8 or whatever it was back in the day. So we've all been where you are. So you're exactly where you need to be, and the fact that you're taking steps, it's a really good thing. So it feels very intuitive, and I'm feeling positive that with the help of Jesse and the gang's tutorials, I'll be making licensable music in no time. That's a good attitude. Looking forward to a productive year ahead. Best wishes to all of you, and a very happy new year. So same to you, man. All right, Stuart. 2019 has taken me from being a songwriter to a music producer. Wow, that's a good transition. And really getting to learn the tools of the trade to make my music licensable. I feel I want a couple more tracks, and I will make my first pitches in the new year. I am encouraged by the posts of others who have been signed up by libraries and had placements. Good luck to all of you, and have a very happy Christmas. Yeah, that's why I post those, Stuart. I want to make sure you guys are aware that I don't just talk about my accomplishments and what I've done, but I want you to see other people in your shoes that are at your level, that are also in the beginning phases of their careers, but are seeing results. This is what Sync Academy is all about for you guys. Results, results, results. If you guys aren't getting placements, if you're not getting accepted by libraries, and this isn't happening, Sync Academy is just kind of a fun place to hang, to feel good. And, there's a value to that, but I wanted something more meaningful for you guys. I wanted this to actually show you guys that there's a pathway for you, and that there's actually a way for you to get real results, as long as, you actually put in the work and take what you learn on this platform and put it into your sessions. Darwin, my biggest accomplishment, starting up again and making the commitment to being consistent at pursuing a career in sync licensing and believing that I have what it takes to succeed. I am my own biggest critic. 2020, look out, because this is going to be my best year yet. Supernatural things are going to happen, and I'm going to be a part of it, making powerful moves. Happy holidays to all, and blessings too. Awesome, man. I love the attitude. I love the fire, motivation there, and just the dead set determination that you're going to make 2020 a very productive year. It's a really good mindset. It's a really good thing to have, and just sort of psyching yourself up for it. I think that's a great thing to do for sure. All right, Nicolette. I have almost finished my first sync album. My ambition was to finish it in 2019. I think I can make it, but very early 2020 is okay also. Happy holidays. I will be working. Awesome. So yeah, I agree. You obviously shoot for that goal, that deadline. Sometimes we make it, sometimes we don't. But of course, I think if you don't make your initial deadline, the worst thing you can do is obviously just give up and go, oh, it was too hard and I only made it halfway, so forget it. Yes, it would be ideal if you could just nail the deadline, but if you don't, the second best thing you can do, extend your deadline, and don't miss that second deadline. Just give yourself another deadline. And I would say, rather than just saying early 2020, say January 15th, January 30th, February 12th, whatever it is. Give yourself a hard and fast deadline, put it on the calendar, and map out your goals week by week. Just like we do in Sync 60, that is the way that you're going to be able to get to that goal. I think that's the way that professionals do it. That's the way that I've done it in my career. And that's one of those skill sets you're just going to have to learn how to always be able to knock out, over and over again, especially when you have, tight licensing deadlines where somebody's going to ask you for music and they need it in 48 hours, 72 hours. Deadlines are going to be a part of your regular life in this industry, so it's good to just get used to them now as you're getting started. So, but keep it up. And of course, last but not least, Trace says, I am here. So, and I'm glad to have you, Trace. I know that you just joined us, so welcome to our community. And this is what we do, guys. This is the kind of mindset. This is the motivation. These are the results. And this is why, obviously, as you heard and watched going through this video, why I'm just completely humbled by all of you guys that work so hard at your licensing careers, and why, just letting me know and giving me this feedback that Sync Academy has really provided that difference for you to keep you educated, to keep you motivated, and to keep you focused on moving forward in your sync licensing careers. I love it. It's the best paycheck I could ever get on planet Earth. And so I really just want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you that do participate, that comment, that post your questions, that answer questions, that sometimes post videos or post, just funny pictures. And we kind of share our stories, our personal life stories about what's happening here. This is a really awesome and a rich community here that we've really created. And I want to continue and build it and develop it even further in 2020, starting with a lot of very powerful tutorials that I'll be releasing to you guys here in the first early days of January. So obviously look out for those. And for those of you that are not in Sync Academy, I encourage you to think about, if you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish in 2019 and you've done it 100% on your own, keep doing it. Nothing's broken. You should just continue on your path because obviously you've got something that's working. But a lot of you that are listening to this, watching this, 2019 probably didn't give you the results that you wanted. You didn't get the tracks done you were hoping to get done. You didn't get accepted by a music library. You didn't pitch it properly. You got ignored or rejected by libraries, and you just didn't take any significant, meaningful steps towards your goal to make music your full-time income. If that's where you are, don't do the same thing again in 2020 and try to go all alone, not get guidance, not get mentorship, not be a part of a really awesome community, seeing these kind of results right in front of you. Why would you try to do all this stuff by yourself? So I encourage you and I invite you to join us, to become a part of our community, and let 2020 be the birth and the start of an incredible multi-year, multi-decade long future career for you in sync licensing. This is a minimal, small investment of yourself to pay potentially massive amounts of dividends down the road for your career. This could be, again, if this is going to be your full-time income, this is the smallest investment you can make into your career to make sure, again, that you're not going to be wasting months or years doing it the wrong way. And maybe that's what you've been doing in 2019, is just struggling and thinking you had to reinvent the wheel and just kind of taking guesses of what's going to work in this business. Why go through that? Why struggle? Why torment yourself with all that nonsense? Just, don't reinvent the wheel. Come on board and watch and listen and learn from the experts and the producers that have done this and come before you, and will look back and highlight and show the path that they took and tell you exactly what worked and exactly, most importantly, what didn't work. That's a big part of education, is learning from the mistakes of others that have come before you, made a lot of dumb mistakes right here, and did a lot of things really screwy in the first couple of years. And I don't want you guys to have that sort of rough start to your careers. A lot of these, as you're hearing right now, they're having a much smoother start than a lot of producers out there that are just trying to go it alone and knuckle their way through this industry. It's just, I don't recommend it. I don't think it's a smart thing to do. I think the investment in your education is absolutely worth it. So I hope you guys do decide to join us, those of you that feel that this could be beneficial for you. So again, thank you all of you that are watching, that are listening, that are participating, that are liking, sharing any of my content, all that good stuff. I hope you had a very happy and safe holiday season, and look out for some great, amazing, powerful content coming your way in 2020. Here's to the next year and to the next decade. Thank you for listening to the Sync My Music podcast. If you enjoyed the show and want me to do more episodes, all that I ask is that you leave me a review on whatever platform or app that you're listening to. It just takes a few seconds. I'll never charge for this podcast, and I want to keep it 100% ad-free. And your review right now will help me do just that. Thank you so much.